Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today I have been wanting to do this video for so long. It's something that it has been requested, and so today is your lucky day. Here it is. So I'm going to be talking about the full foster to adoption story for my oldest sons, Augustine and Nay. People have been asking me about this, what's their whole story. It's kind of confusing. Our story is a little bit it's just a little choppy, so it's kind of hard to understand it unless you know the whole story. So I'm going to point people to this video, so here it goes. First of all, me and Chad, we got married in 2010, and then in 2012 we became foster parents. And Chad was just like kind of looked at me, and we were thinking about starting to start a family, and he was like, let's do foster care. And that's something that's been always on our heart. We traveled in foreign countries. If you want to know about why we're foster parents, I'll link that below. I have a video about it. But anyway, so we became foster parents in August of 2012. We only got calls for respite situations. Respite situations are just situations where like the foster family is out of town and you just watch their foster child for them. So we just do like give foster families breaks, stuff like that, because foster families are the only people that can watch foster kids. So anyways, so in April 2013, something really awesome happened. It was just a really special day. It was like almost 10 months or 9 months after we became licensed, and I was like, oh my gosh, are we ever gonna get a child, or are they ever gonna get a call from DSS? Do they even like us? You know, all these thoughts in our head. We were pretty young, so I was like, maybe they're, you know, like whatever. But I came home from lunch on a lunch break, and Chad was like, oh yeah. We were talking for a few minutes, which is kind of hysterical when looking back, because it's kind of such a huge life decision. He was like, oh yeah, I got a call from Department of Social Services, and they asked if we wanted to foster to adopt 2 Korean boys ages 5 and 10. And I was like, you're just telling me this now? Like, what? Like, you're just telling me this right now? Anyways, it was super funny. And then so I was like, yes. And he's like, you don't need to think about it or pray about it. Like, in my heart, I knew, you know, like mamas, you know, adoptive mamas, if you've seen your child like on like a website or something, you know that child is yours. Or like when you hear about a child, you know it's yours. Like that was like that moment. And they're like, you'll probably end up adopting these children at the time. So we were like, yes. And then the next day, they said they were going to come the next day after school. So we found out about it on a lunch break. I remember posting on Facebook, which is kind of funny back then thinking about it, that my whole life just changed completely over a lunch break, which is true. So we both decided in that moment we're gonna do this. We're gonna take on these kids. And we found out their names. They were Augustine and Nay. And so just so you know, both boys, I asked them if I could do this video. They're totally on board with it. They said it was good. They said they were super happy to share their story with people. Also, something to note about Augustine and Nay, they are Korean, not Korean. They are Korean refugees. Their people were being completely, it was like a genocide in Myanmar, which is now Myanmar, but it was Burma at the time. And so they were forced to move to Thailand as refugees, all the Korean people, and then now America is letting them come to the United States as with a lottery kind of thing, like where they can get their name drawn and they can get to the United States. So that's how the boys got here. Yes, it's an international adoption, but yes, it's a foster care adoption. Yes, it's still domestic, but it's international. It's really confusing. Yes, I'm working on their citizenship, so that is just a complete side note, and that's why it's so confusing if you hear me talk about their citizenship and like, what, they're foster care, but they're international. That's their story. Amazing people. I love the Korean people so much. And actually, like, I rarely hear of any other Korean kids in foster care system. Their families are amazing. So, they're normally amazing parents. So, yes, they are Korean refugees. And then, so this is another funny story, is like at work, I work at a store. In that time, I was like, hey, can I take a half day off? Can I not come back after lunch? So I left work at 1 that day. They were coming at 3:30, so I made some brownies. So that was the extent of my maternity leave, so to speak. I took a half day off work to get ready for the boys to come. And then my husband, he went out and bought bunk beds, and he started setting them up. And then the magic moment when we met our boys. They came to our house. Department of Social Services dropped them off at our house, and I just remember them coming in, and they're so scared. Like, could you imagine? They were just so scared. Their clothes were completely filthy, and just being real, and just had their backpack and their clothes, and that's all they had. They came straight from school, and yeah, it was wild. So thinking back to that moment when I first met my boys for the first time, when you meet your baby for this first time, it's kind of magical, but in that moment I just, it kind of broke you down. But they're so sweet and so gentle, and they looked smaller than I thought their ages were. When I heard 5 and 10, I was like, oh man. But when I met them, I'm like, oh really? They're like 3 and 7. They were like a lot smaller than their age. And then so it was kind of cute. My youngest, Nene, he'd think that'd be cute story, is he was up in the bathroom, and he went to the bathroom right away, like when we got there, and he just like peed all over the bathroom, and in front of, like, kept the door wide open, and the DSS worker kind of looked at me, and we were just like, yeah, we got a lot of work to do, like, this is kind of weird. And they would like later tell me stories of when they squatted on the toilet, and I'm like, no, we don't squat on the toilet, we don't do that. And it's just kind of funny, so just wild, you're like, oh, what is this place, And then so that night we went to Walmart, and we got them all new clothes. Literally none of their clothes was usable, but they were having so much fun in Walmart. Both of them were like running on all fours throughout the store, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are boys. And like, I was so used to like growing up with girls that I was like culture shock almost. I'm like, okay, I have boys now, I have boys. Like, instant mom overnight. I'm like, okay, how am I gonna figure this out? They're just completely wild. And so we threw away literally everything they had. I kept one pair of pants for Augustine and his backpack, but everything else we threw in the trash. Nene's socks didn't match, and they're completely filthy. Yes. And then I also, Chad's trying to tell me something on the other than camera. It's kind of a super special story, so we like to share our favorite parts. So yeah, I threw away everything they did, and the next day it snowed, and it was April, and sometimes that happens in South Dakota. We have like a late blizzard where it snows in April, and they didn't have a jacket because I threw it away. They were completely filthy, and like I couldn't even find a sweater. Like, they just had all their summer swimsuits out, nothing else, and I was like sending them to school on their very first day as a mom without a winter jacket. Just like, epic fail. It's okay. So that's all right. So there's like a learning curve, right, guys? There's grace. Like,
you had sweaters.
Yes, we might have had a sweater. Yeah, we found some eventually.
They didn't have any more winter jackets.
And then they came home. Chad shared his story because it's super special. Because it's just warm fuzzies when I talk about these moments. It's the day your kids, you met your kids for the first time. So we went home and we ate pizza as a family. The boys still talk about that. They remember eating pizza, and they remember Dad making the bunk bed and having to call my brother-in-law to help him fix something to make sure it worked. We talk about it regularly, and he still brags about the fact that my brother-in-law got to meet the kids before my sister did. They still brag about that. It's really cute. It's like a pride thing. I love it. And so I honestly, like, school started the next day. I had no idea what time school started. So I took them at 7:30 in the morning thinking, like, okay, so it has to start eventually. And they're like, you're not allowed at the school at this time. They're really, really hard on me. But I was like, oh, okay. Like, I just, like, I don't know the rules. I've been a mom. Like, everyone else is so used to it. It's like April. You should know the rules of the parking situation by then. And there's 2 different schools. And I was like, oh, this is such a mess. So anyway, so I was a little bit late to work that day because I was trying to figure out schools and different things like that. They were such good boys, though. That first weekend we went to my parents' house. They live a couple hours away. And my dad, we were at McDonald's, and they were playing in the play pit, and he like kind of looked at me, and he was like, they're really good boys. I'm really excited for you, but you need to put them in some sports. You need to let them run every day, like kind of giving me like boy advice, which is so cute. And they were all boy. They were running around like crazy and wild and perfect and like normal kids. And they were so well adjusted so fast. They got along with their family so well. And I tell people stories about our boys and like how they came and they became part of our family instantly, and they're like, that doesn't happen. And like taking on like other foster placements now, I realized like how unique of a thing and how like such a grace was on us in that time for those boys to be a part of our family. And like it was just so special. Like they just instantly bonded with us, and we grew and we figured things out. It was beautiful. Like and they were so well adjusted. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, you were really well adjusted. We do have like weird normal kid stories of like Nene one day wanted to wear his shorts and t-shirt, tank top, pajamas, Batman pajamas to school. So he put his snowsuit over it, and I caught him. But I'm like, that's just normal, right? It's super cute. So I was like, what are you doing? You're wearing your shorts? It was like in the middle of the winter time. You want to wear shorts and tank top school pajamas. So I don't know. I think that some people say that's normal. I don't know. So yeah, we had lots of visits from DSS, and they actually brought in somebody to explain to us what happened to the Korean people. They're really covering all their bases with these kids and trying to help us out. They even had a interpreter with us. During the beginning, we had to speak what we call dumb English. We just dumbed down our English. We spoke really simple syllables. We're used to living in countries where English was your second language. Like, we lived in foreign countries, and so we spoke with people with English as a second language, and we just dumbed down our English, and like were able to communicate with the boys in that way. And they grew so fast. And like little Nene was in kindergarten, and he learned English so quickly. It's just amazing how far he's come, and from where he was. And when he came to us, he was 5 years old, and he weighed 26 pounds. And when I say that to someone's like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? I'm like, I have no idea. He was just skin and bones. His eyes were, he was just malnourished. So he's thriving now. So he's doing really, really well. He grew really fast. So that brings me to this other part. It's not my side of the story. I don't want to share too much about it. It's about their mother. She has a severe mental disability that makes her not able to take care of the boys, and so that's why her children were taken from her, and it makes me really sad. I remember being in a meeting with her, and like it was just too much for me. It was like I gave her pictures of the boys, their school pictures, and she held them, and she just got confused because she almost like she forgot that she had children, like, and then she remembered them, and it made her so feel sad because she wasn't with them. It was hard. It was hard being in that situation where you love these kids so much and you're their mother, but at the same time, this is their biological mother, and like she can't take care of them, and everybody knows it. But it's just hard. If you're a foster mom, you know what I'm saying. If you're not, it would be really hard for you to understand that. I totally understand that. So it's hard to put yourself in the foster mom's shoes or the biological mom's shoes in that moment. So just give grace to them for those things. Yeah, and our boys were amazing. They were awesome. Towards their biological mother, even Augustine, our oldest, would say stuff like, someday I'm going to grow up and get a job and try to take care of her. And he just had this responsibility about him that a 10-year-old shouldn't have. And so we tried to help him navigate through that. But he's just so kind and so gracious and so compassionate. He's such a good boy. And we just appreciate that about him so much. And we appreciate their mother for taking care of him to the point that she did, and keeping them alive. So that is their mother. I don't want to share too much about it because it's her story. I do remember the day she got her rights terminated. I was in the courtroom with her. The lawyer that day was amazing, and he was her advocate in every single way, trying to fight for her and to get her kids to come back to her and to reunite, but it just wasn't working, and it was very obvious that she couldn't take care of her kids. And so we actually loved that lawyer so much that we chose him to be our lawyer for the next kid's case because he was so good at his job. So we just appreciate good lawyers trying to do their job and doing the extent of the work. Adoption's messy, guys. It really is. So that's the sad part of adoption, like reality of how deep that tragedy is for those boys. And for their mother, we pray about her every day. She actually lives quite close to us, and we see her on a regular basis. So, but yeah, so that's that side of the story. So her rights got terminated in the fall of 2014, and then it didn't happen until May 2015 when we got to officially adopt the boys with a court hearing. And it was such a magical day. Like, I just remember it so well. Being in that room, I didn't realize it was going to hit me that hard. I was like thinking of it just as like, you know, like this is what you do. You just go to the courthouse and like all these things. But then like when the judge said, like, will you adopt these kids and like let them inherit like your own natural children? We were, both of me and Chad were like, yes, of course, like just like super emotional about it. And it was like almost like a wedding. It was like a uniting. It was so holy. It was so like right. It just felt so right. It just felt so pure. And then after that court date, we had a huge epic party for them with all of our family, extended family, everyone that loves them. They came and supported them, gave them money. We put a little bit aside for college fund even for them because we got so much money from that party. And then we had inflatables, and we just had a super fun time, and it was super joyful. And that's the story of Augustine and Nay. That's how they came into our family. And all of our family was so supportive and so generous with their time, and like treated the boys as if they were instantly part of the family. So anyways, that is their story. Thank you for bearing with me if you got to the end here. It's super, I got a little emotional at the end there. I didn't think I would, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you are a foster mom or adoptive mom, please put your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Any details that you have or any questions that you have, do it, guys. It's totally worth it. Older children are worth it. Don't be afraid of older boys. They're like supposedly like the worst, but we did it and it worked out wonderful. It could be awesome for you. So anyways, I hope you guys are having the best day ever, and I'll see you next time. Bye.